Hey guys, welcome back to Literature in Robes with your host Jared. Today we're going to talk about two books, get two in one review.
I have two guns, one for each of you.
One about the Dresden Files, Harry Dresden, written by Jim Butcher. It's book 10 called Small Favor. And the other is by an acclaimed author. He's a Polish author. His name is Rafal Kosik. He's brought a cyberpunk story down the vein of, perhaps if you're a gamer, MOBA online stuff, League of Legends. I guess it kind of lends itself to this whole overarching thing called cyberpunk.
All right, enough chit chat.
Small Favor, written by Jim Butcher, is book 10 in the Dresden Files. By this point, Harry Dresden and the crew are already pretty familiar. If you've made it to book 10, not in every book does every character make their way into it. Every major character that Harry has interacted with in the last decade of books that he's written, I suppose at this point, Harry and all the characters are very familiar. They're like really well-worn shoes, I guess, probably for Jim Butcher as a writer. In a lot of ways, Jim has really improved his writing to get us to a point where you can just tell how comfortable he is talking about the families that he knows, Murphy, his brother, all the interactions with the fairies and the magical world. And it seems to be in this story, Small Favor, that some of these forces were all working hand in hand or against each other, and there's this underpinning of something going on. But as you get to know Harry, you've known that he makes all kinds of promises to some of the fairies and the other people in these other worlds in order to get out of some of the situations he's found himself in. Generally, he can mitigate how much danger he puts himself in, but as you know, if you read Dresden Files, he underestimates the amount of trouble that he's probably going to get himself into by just taking up certain jobs.
It's a wild card. Flies by the seat of his pants. Completely unpredictable.
A lot of the Dresden File books are very much like murder mysteries or whodunits and things like that. So there's that fun element about it. It's very much what would make a TV series interesting. But anytime they've tried that, I think they've tried it, well, once, but it didn't really work. But it lends itself to that. Each book is kind of isolated. It does help if you have read up, because then you can draw up that rich backstory that you've been reading all the way up to, say, up to book 10 here. That's probably part of why all the characters in the story are so familiar. The setting is familiar. It's still the deep, dark city of Chicago. The main story arc is Harry is trying to get these denarian coins, which have all these like curses placed upon them. And that's kind of the main storyline for this book. It kind of comes up in book 6 and in book 8. And
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
One of the convenient things that I think Jim Butcher as the author can do with these stories is he can kind of weave things in there that he can pick up at other points later down the road.
No touching of the hair or face.
And kind of address how he wants to resolve those plot points. In this one, he's weaving through what's going on with the denarian coins, and in the end it's almost like he's got it, but you know, the story's not over yet. And I hear that Jim Butcher's about to put out the next Dresden Files book here pretty soon. I would say probably early next year is when it's coming out, 2026, but I think he's pretty much finished it up. So overall, I really just love going back to these characters, but it feels like at some point, even as the author is enjoying all of these great character moments, at some point, just to keep the story interesting, he'll probably have to kill somebody off, and I just really don't want to see that. No, I don't. But you know, if I want a more realistic reading experience, which I think I'm coming up into, the next few books are probably going to be really intense as far as that. So a lot of Harry's friendships will be tested. Overall, I think Small Favor was a really good Dresden Files book compared to the others. I gave Small Favor a 4.3 out of 5. I mean, it's the Dresden Files. I'm very comfortable with it. Usually for me, they're probably around a 4.2. They're not blowing my mind or anything, but the story is definitely getting cleaner. It's a little easier to follow. Jim Butcher's story crafting is getting better, so it was just one of the better ones. So I think once you hit about book 7, 8, these stories just get going, and they're just really well told. And the Dresden Files are one of my favorite, like, I'm going to go back and just break this up a little bit and clean my palate, so to say. So 4.3 for Dresden Files, book 10, Small Favor by Jim Butcher. Well done.
Wow.
And on to the next. Dig this thing. I think this big yellow cover is what kind of screamed at me when I was looking at the bookshelf. It was like Cyberpunk 2020 or 2077, blah, 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 blah.
I can't read.
And it had this sort of comic book appeal to it when I got it. But Rafal Kosik. Did I say Rafat? His name is Rafal Kosik. Rafal Kosik. Rafal Kosik. Maybe it is a Rafat. I don't know. You tell me. What is that? That looks like crazy word or letter. Or maybe this. This looks like T. Is this T from Polish? Is this what Polish people sound like? I don't know.
There's something about an accent that makes a man sound so intelligent.
No coincidence. This is a really fun book. It was kind of like it does give it away, Cyberpunk, which is kind of like a steampunk where it's really high-tech, futuristic stuff. Like, there's elements of this book with all the futuristic stuff in it that would bring me back to like movies like Hackers, I think it was, where you have kind of this team of idiosyncratic, weird, strange people who have just a particular set of skills that make particular things happen. They haven't really worked together that much, but they were kind of a built team of miscreants and ne'er-do-wells, except for one person in particular who seems to have skills that are militaristic. So this person kind of comes across as the main character, but you get each of the characters kind of get their own little moments throughout the story. So as the story goes along, you see these characters in this group become something more. However, they don't really know who is or what is controlling them to go do certain jobs. So anyway, it is a scrap together band of cyberpunks, and it kind of lends itself to the arcane and League of Legends, where you have like these specialized characters, people who are good at hacking and computer technology, people who can like scale buildings and reconnaissance and things like that. So they have like this whole kind of skill set of people that are around them, and some you're very attached to and others not so much. Some seem more serious than others, and it was a nice little blend of all of this. And typically when you read these types of books, I think you follow kind of a main character and maybe their girlfriend or their best friend or something like that, and the author gives every character, even the bad guys, a fair amount of pages to kind of provide background. So that was kind of neat. The difference, I think, between American storytelling and maybe this Polish storytelling, I don't know. But it certainly serves to flesh out the whole story, so you never feel like you're dealing in absolute tropes like the good guy, the hero, the heroine, the antagonist, put into a really quick book. It wasn't too hard to read it. I almost wanted to see if there was another book coming, but this author, I don't think all of his stuff has been translated into English. This one was translated by Stefan Kielbasiewicz, maybe I'll put the last name, Kielbasiewicz, Stefan, translator. So again, and with translation, not everything is word for word verbatim from one language to the next. So I think in a translation, they have to really kind of pick and choose certain words that either fit the scenario, the character, or they don't. So there's a lot hanging on that translator to make sure that everything is accurate. But this was a really fun book. As a new author, a new type of story, Cyberpunk, I've never really read anything. Often I've heard Cyberpunk 2077 is kind of a, what do they call that? An animated story or illustrated fiction, illustrated fantasy. And this is a novel. There aren't many novels written in that genre, this cyberpunk sort of League of Legends underground. Like this is definitely a niche type of story and fandom that follows this type of stuff. When I bought this book, somebody had commented, they were like, oh wow, you like cyberpunk? I was like, I don't know, I bought this because it looked interesting. When I looked at it a little more, there's a lot of like comic books out there. Some of it's kind of fantastic or sci-fi in nature. It's really interesting stuff. So I don't know, if you like something new, cyberpunk, that definitely was new for me. Check it out. I gave this book a pretty good rating, actually. I thought it read really well, really quickly. It had nice little spurts, little chunks of energized content within each chapter. Again, the characters were really well formed. The cityscape felt really alive and vibrant, like neon drenched lighting and sort of a futuristic from the 80s type of point of view into this world that we're dropped into. It was really interesting stuff, and I gave Cyberpunk 2077, no coincidence, a score of 4.7 out of 5 robes. That was really enjoyable, and perhaps part of the enjoyment was because I was reading a lot of other stuff that was kind of heavy-handed, and I was looking for something to kind of lighten the mood and break it up a little bit, and this was just right for me. So definitely don't want to get into a reading slump. It seems like a lot of people get into that stuff, especially when you read longer books. But anyway, love the 2 books. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you read either of these or have any information about the Cyberpunk series, I'd be curious about that. Leave a comment in the comments section below. Appreciate you guys for stopping in today. Thank you very much. And remember, keep reading. Hey guys, welcome back to Literature and Robes with your hair. Appreciate you guys stopping. Blah, 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 blah. Get down. Going too fast, slow it down. Appreciate you guys for coming. And no, we're gonna do it serious.